This is Capsule on liveandlimbo.com. My name is Sean Chin.
And I am Andreas Babialakis. This is an insightful look into pop culture, film, music, and the like. And today is a very special venture for my co-host here, Sean.
Hello.
Let's. I think somebody's full with glee, aren't we now?
Yes. Well, okay, so first there's pain, and then the glee came after.
Oh, well, let's start with the pain then. Okay,
Oh my
let's go forth.
All right, yeah.
What is this pain you're speaking of?
Okay, so on Saturday, like 2 days ago or a few days ago, depending on when you listen to this, I had the great pleasure of satisfying my obsessive craving to see Lorde live. If you don't know who she is, you're living under a rock. But she is briefly a 17-year-old girl from New Zealand who makes really good music, and she won 2 Grammys.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And she did win 2 Grammys. I was going to say, if you don't know who Lorde is by now, you obviously aren't listening to Capsule, because Sean and his passion for Lorde, I'm not going to call it an obsession because I see a negative connotation within that. Sean and his passion with Lorde has been a pretty vocal point on Capsule. I assume it's as much as mine with Shailene Woodley. So,
Hey, and so we both got to satisfy our needs to see them, both of them, Shailene Woodley and Lorde.
I guess, I don't know, the way you put it though, it sounds obsessive, but I wouldn't call it that because we're not
Passion.
Yeah, well, there we go. Well, an admiration almost.
We really enjoy and appreciate their work.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
That's what drives us to do extreme things to meet them.
I suppose, but look where it got us. It got me onto Live in Limbo's first red carpet, and it got you
very
really
close.
very close, like right up close. And now, possibly an interview in the future when you can say, "Hey, look, I went to your show."
Yeah, exactly. And you got a hug, so I'll work on that in the future.
No, I just know how things work. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that's great. No, that's perfect. That's what we need.
But it's not about me, of course. This is so Lorde. Okay, before we actually get into all of this, I think because we've discussed Lorde on your behalf many a time before.
I think pretty much every episode or every other episode she's mentioned at least once in some
so when
form.
we say, "Oh Lorde," it's not a blasphemous remark. Instead, it's just announcing the singer. All right. So where did all of this start with Lorde? Not even just the fact that you became a huge admirer. Like, what was your first instance even noticing Lorde at all? Like, what was the first moment?
Okay, so I guess I did not know. Well, so she literally just made her EP called The Love Club last year, this time, March. So anything before that, 12 months ago, she was not known, which is mind-blowing if you think about it.
That's pretty impressive, yeah.
Yeah, and so I did not know about her until I saw a cover of Royals by another artist who I like. Her name is Kina Grannis.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw that cover video, and then I listened to Lorde's music, and the song that really hit it for me was Ribs, 400 Lux, and Team.
Oh, yes.
Not Royals. I don't know why, but those 3 really got me into her. And she did play at the Danforth Music Hall last year. I was still not like obsessing over her I didn't have that mood where I was like, I have to see her. And then so that went by, and then maybe I think 3 months before the Grammy, like she was nominated for a Grammy, that's when I really wanted to see her live. And then tickets went on sale for her show at the Sound Academy. And then so I knew that I had to buy them. And I knew for sure that if she won a Grammy, chances of getting media approval would decrease significantly, which is what happened. So I predicted correctly.
Oh, well done.
And so as a publisher of this Live in Limbo website for the last 5 years, I've learned that you cannot what's the right word? You cannot like be super keen on approvals and denials over artists, like any artist in particular, because if you keep doing that, and you keep waiting for approvals and denials that will eat you alive.
Right.
And so I broke the rules subconsciously, and I really, really had to get a media pass for Lorde. But I knew that chances of that happening was very, very slim. And so I knew that she had she had a dark performance, like very little lighting. I could see that from previous photos from her tour, and they were not that great. And they're usually from the soundboard, which is halfway across the arena,
Right.
or a stadium room, wherever she's playing. So this left me with two options. Number one, I have to get a media pass and get a long lens and shoot from the soundboard with a very low chance. Or option number two, buy tickets, go there super early, and I had to get to the front row where the barricade is, and I had to bring like a point and shoot camera to get the shots that I wanted. So
Right.
I went with option number two.
Yep.
and it actually worked very, very nicely
Yes, it did.
because it was on the weekend on a Saturday. And the way it works is that this certain promoter of the show, if a concert is on the weekend, they will let you know on the Friday, the night of. So if it was any other day other than a weekend show, let's say if it was on a Wednesday or something, they would let you know by noon or 1 o'clock the day of if you got approved or denied. And if that was the case, I would have been screwed, because on Saturday I went there at 11:30 a.m. and they were already, so I was 11th in line when I counted. So if I did wait for their approvals, it would have been way too late at like 12 or 1.
Right.
And if I found out that I got denied at 12 or 1 and still went there, I would have been like 30th in line, and that would give me no chance to be in the front row. So it worked out pretty nicely. Like all the stars aligned for that. And so yes, I was there at 11:30. I waited for 8 to 9 hours in the cold. At least it wasn't raining.
How did you eat or do anything?
I brought 2 granola bars, and I tried not to drink anything because I did not want to use the washroom. There was one portable washroom outside, which I did use once, but it was really wobbly.
Oh, yeah. Did somebody have to keep your space, or?
Yeah, no. Well, so the great thing is that I met a lot of cool friends there. Everyone
Cool.
in the first 15 people were all really nice to each other. We're, of course, the diehard loyal fans, right?
Well, I guess you could say you're on each other's team, man.
Ha 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 ha. That's a good one.
Yeah, clearly you could tell we don't write these beforehand. Anyways, so
I can
no,
be
that's-
grateful that it was not minus 20.
Oh,
I can be
yeah,
grateful
exactly.
that it was not snowing or raining, and it was like minus 1, which is warm for us, which is sad.
Yeah, no, that worked out really well.
Like today's pretty damn cold.
No, today was horrible. I did not like today at all.
I think I would have died if that was the case. I was
No, you would've-
shivering. I was shivering.
I wouldn't have died. I just would have sucked. No, so it went really well, and saw some pictures. If you haven't, go look on Live in Limbo. You could do that actually right now. Open up a new tab and go have a look, because that's visual and this is audio. This is audio only, so you could do both and have a look. They're really good photographs actually, and yeah, as you said, it looks really dark, filled with shadows, dim lighting. It looks pretty interesting actually.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this, the link to that review, the full review and the photo gallery will be in the show notes. So yeah, it was interesting because if I do get a media pass for a show, I'll bring my heavy duty badass DSLR with like a 2.8 lens. And then for this case, I had to go and pick up, well, I had it already. It's called the Sony RX100 M2, and it's being dubbed the concert photographer's camera for ninjas. This is for if you don't get approved and you want to sneak up to the front and still get great photos. And so
Right.
some guy wrote an article on Petapixel about how he did a similar thing to what I did with the Rolling Stones at a big venue.
Oh wow.
And he pulled it off. Well, of course, they have a lot more lighting in their show than Lorde does, so his photos came out really nicely. But I think it suited my purpose well. And Sony, if you're listening, you can sponsor our show.
Yes, please. I need to eat.
Me
But
too.
yes. No, so that went really well. And hopefully in the future we'll get an opportunity to actually interview Lord. She seems like somebody who would actually, you know, try and like take on some smaller sites and whatnot, and not just the big names.
Yeah. So you've had a chance to look at these photos, right?
Yeah, I've looked at some
Okay.
of them. Yeah.
So normally, I don't know if you know all the technical stuff behind photography, but normally I'd like to shoot moving objects at 1/250th or 1/400th of a second
Right.
to freeze the action. So I shot all of these at ISO 3200 to 6400, which is super high and it can get a lot of noise. And remember, this is a pocket-sized camera. This is not a DSLR. This is a camera that fits in my pocket that I could bring in, which is nuts. So the technology is there. And so even though I shot at these high shutter speeds, I froze her face and most of her body and her hair, but that damn right hand constantly has a seizure, and you can't freeze that.
You know why that happens, though, right?
No, because that's what she does.
No, that's what I
Her
mean.
hands, she does that claw thing with her hand, and she's like Gollum.
You know why singers do that, though, right?
Why?
All right. Well, interesting. Just throwing out my, well, I guess it's not useless knowledge, but here, a little bit of insight. Singers like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston do those crazy hand movements whenever they try to reach notes and everything, not because it's them with their emotions or anything, or their feeling soul rising or anything like that. Actually, it's because it's to, I don't remember which side of the brain it is, but what, obviously there's two sides, that's the left and the right, and it's to cater to the other side of the brain to help you focus more on actually hitting notes.
Like,
it's an actual technique.
Oh,
And that's why a lot of rappers do that too.
No, but she does it a lot more than normal.
Well, maybe she's just really focused on it.
A lot of people made fun of her when they first see her perform live. They're always like, "What the hell is she doing?" But she's definitely in the zone and she's feeling the moment, like what you said.
Exactly. And you know what? It's good though, because
it's better than being stiff and just standing there in front of a mic stand and not doing anything.
It's better than being fake, where it's like these kinds of theatrics where it's less about the person and more about like the show itself. Sometimes with the right person, you'd want just something that's just them. And if it means being embarrassing looking or missing notes or whatever, then albeit sometimes that's even better. Like I remember Lady Gaga was kind of she was either bashed or praised depending on who you're talking to at the YouTube Awards when she sang Dope and she just started bawling in the middle of the song and her notes were flat and like just like her face was all like muggy. But at the same time, given the context and the meaning of the song, I thought it was a 10 times of a better performance. But a lot of people just expect perfection and what they just see in like a lot of concerts and all of that. And it's the same thing with people like Lorde, where it's somebody that's a bit unusual, like David Byrne, as we've talked about before with the Talking Heads, somebody who's just unusual, where like for people who aren't big fans or are just kind of casually strolling past videos, they'll see these performances where they're dancing bizarrely or just like doing weird, unusual things, or even just more about the passion than the actual technicality of the note hitting. And they'll say, "Oh, this is so bad," even though it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just not for everybody's taste. And you know what? I prefer stuff like that because it's more real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so maybe
it makes it real.
Maybe I'll like Lorde live. Who knows?
No, I think you would. You'd definitely appreciate that.
I think so. It's, as you said before, Royals, I think for her, yes, it was the best song to put out because obviously it catapulted her career. But for me, it was possibly the worst out of her songs.
No, I agree too. Well, it's not the worst one, but yeah, I don't know why that one caught on. Like, there's 5 other tracks that I think are better. Like, even poppier, like Team or Tennis Court. In your opinion, why did Royals catch on?
Before I get to that, I just remember the very moment when I was just crapping on Royals all the time, like, oh God, this song's not good at all. I really don't like this. And I just heard this one song and I was like, okay, I wonder what this is. And the voice started being lower produced and just like deeper, like pitched. And I was like, what is this? And then this beat kicked in and I said, this is so interesting. So I pulled out my phone, I turned on Shazam, pushed the button, it was listening, and it tagged the song. And it was Lorde. And I said to myself, I swear to you, I was like, you've got to be shitting me. This is the same person. And it was Team. That was the song. It was Team. It was the first time I heard it on the radio. And that's when I wanted to give her another look. So I gave the whole album, Pure Heroine, a listen. And
So it was the Team that made you want to re-listen to it.
oh, it made me want to listen to it in the first place, even.
Oh yeah, Team.
Yeah, because I had friends of mine who were
So
saying,
good.
you got to listen to the whole album. It doesn't sound like Royals. So I was like, yeah, but I don't feel even invested enough to even want to go past Royals. I
That's
think Royals
true.
works because there's a lot of musicians out like Adele or Lana Del Rey, which have that piano sound, that kind of chamber sound where you're in a lounge, but it's not lounge music. It's more emotional kind of stripped down music, which Royals is in a sense. It's very low key compared to the very bombastic Team, for instance, which is now on the radio as well. Now that she's being catapulted as a solo artist, now she's getting her catchier stuff on the radio. That's what I think it is, honestly. It's the fact that whoever was in charge of distributing her music thought, okay, we've got all these stripped down musicians. Let's send her most stripped down song out.
I think that's interesting because Royals was performed third last, and that's like, of course, the song everyone quote unquote wants to hear.
Yeah.
That's why they're there. That's the song that won the Grammys. So she performs that, and then it immediately goes into Team. It was almost like she was saying, yes, this is the one the critics like. This is the one I want. This is the one I really like. This is Team. And then Team was a great song to perform live because in the show there was no what's that thing called? When you do an encore, like after the final song goes off and then
Yeah, it's an encore.
they leave and then they come back. There was no real encore. She kind of left in like the last quarter of Team and the track's still going. And then she puts on this golden robe and it's nuts. And then she comes back out. And for the remaining part of the song, all this confetti falls from the sky, and she's just like dancing out in the golden robe. That was crazy.
What was the last song then? If Team was second last,
A World Alone,
oh, okay, interesting.
which is also the last song on the album.
I don't think she did an encore because, first of all, she's only got the one album and like
Yeah.
a few other songs, right? Secondly, I don't know if she's the kind of person that would do an encore. I remember I went to a show. I think it was back when I listened to mostly metal music when I went to go see Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. I remember everybody left on the stage. It was going to be the encore. We knew it. And the drummer actually sat on stage. And the lead singer came out and he said, all right, well, give him a hand for like not lying to you guys because you already know what's going to happen anyway. So fuck it. Let's just go on stage. Because encores are becoming a novelty now, it's no longer...
Well, isn't it supposed to be like a washroom break?
Not really, because they come out really quickly, though, like within a minute.
Okay.
The whole point of an encore is basically to be like the band leaves, and it's not even the fact to see if they are welcome because everybody stayed there. That was originally what it was before, to see if people wanted more. Clearly, they do because they're just there. It's just to entice more excitement. That's virtually it, and because it's become a novelty now, like it's just cheesy to do an encore now. I can understand why a lot of musicians don't want to do that anymore. So somebody like Lorde, who's very vocal about being solely about music or solely about like what she wants to represent herself as and not the media, I don't know if she'd want to do something as as in jest as an encore performance, because it would cheapen the act, especially if it's dim, it's real, it's just her standing there, kind of like being within like her own kind of conscious self, as opposed to like trying to put on a show like full of theatrics or anything. You know what I mean? So it would definitely cheapen it and definitely cheapen what her show would represent. And this is, of course, me speaking from just what I've seen
Oh, that's
And
cool.
I've heard
I had no idea that was a new trend of not wanting to do an encore.
it's not too much of a trend, but I see it happening less and less now.
Oh, that's interesting. I want to buy a gold robe and just wear it.
Uh,
No comment.
I don't know. Well, first of all, I don't know if you can just buy a gold robe.
Of course, you can buy anything.
Yeah, it's for how much?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's not real gold what she's wearing. It just looks gold.
Are you sure she could have
It's
melted
like
one of her
tin foil.
Grammys?
It looks like melted gold, right? If when you look at the photos, it's like melted gold.
She could have melted one of her Grammys, being like, I don't need
Oh
it.
my god, that's a Grammy.
There you go. It's like
That's
I'm wearing
funny.
my Grammy. I'm literally wearing it. So, um, who knows? It could be a trend. I don't know. It's hard to make trends with those kinds of wardrobe kind of statements nowadays. Even though it has happened, it's oddly enough with Drive. I mean, I saw Drive. I was like, you know what? This changed me, and I went to go buy driving gloves. I wanted to get a leather jacket, but that was too much, especially the Scorpion one. That was way too much, and I noticed I wasn't the only one. So who knows? Maybe if you start getting a gold robe, you won't start a trend, but maybe you'll find yourself being a part of a trend,
Oh yeah,
being like, oh yeah, who knows? Maybe Lord will start that.
wearing gold robes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the show, the opener Lo Fang was also really excellent. When I was waiting in line for that good amount of time in the cold, I got to talk to a lot of the people in the lineup, and actually, there's a good age range. Some of them were, I think, some of them were 12, 16, in their and some in their 20s, and then some people that were in their 40s.
Wow.
So she has a good range of fans. And we were talking about the opener. I guess none of them really knew who the opener was. So I tell them it was Lo Fang, who I've also been trying really hard to get on the show. And he replies on Twitter, but I've been told that he's going to be headlining his own show in summer coming up. So hopefully we get him on then. If you're listening, I want you on. And so, yeah, he was really good because I told people, they asked me, what does his music sound like? Is it like Lorde? I was like, yeah, kind of, but it's electronic folk with violin. He plays the violin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so yeah, give his song a listen to. It's really good.
Well, there you go. You should probably add that in the description.
Yep, I will.
Cool. Yeah. So there you go.
And so, yeah, that was my Lorde experience. And now I can finally say that my craving for Lorde has been fully satisfied.
Speaking of craving, actually, well, congratulations on being able to go to the show, this and that. Obviously, you had a good time, despite who was even headlining. The fact that it was good overall is great. You know, when you go see something that you've been dying to go see and it wasn't really good, but you had to lie to yourself. I'm glad it wasn't that. Oh, no, it was good. I swear it was.
Wait, so that's happened to you, I guess?
No, I used to. I'm more honest I'm more honest with myself now.
Wait, I want to know what thing are you talking about that made you want to try to convince yourself that it was worth your while?
The very last time I've been dishonest with myself was back in 2010. Was it 09 or 010? I think it was 2010 with Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. That was the very last time I was dishonest with myself. I waited over a year for this thing, the cast, the build up with the promo posters. I actually bought a poster before the film even came out. I used to be hugely into Tim Burton, but it wasn't even that. At the time, I was studying Lewis Carroll, and I just was hugely into this concept. I was like, oh, this could be good. This could be good. And I watched it. And I remember afterwards, I was thinking, it wasn't so bad.
Wait, so when you watched it, like as soon as it ended, or while it was going on, were you, what was your meter on, bad or good? Like while it was actually happening.
While it was actually happening, I was thinking, there's a reason for this. There's a reason for that too. And then I got to nearly the end with the Futterwhack, and that's when I was like, please end soon so I don't explode. And then it did end, and I was like, okay, thankfully. And then I was thinking, oh, you know what? It wasn't so bad. It was a few hiccups, but then I went to write the review, and actually, I wrote like a decent review. I was like, hey, it's got some hiccups or whatever. But then in my head, I was like, was it actually that good? And the more I thought about it, I think it's an abysmal film. Actually, I think it's an abysmal film in so many ways, visually and special effects wise. It's great, but no, everything apart from that, it's just oh. Sorry if anybody's a fan of that film, but I just not a fan at all. Like that, and that was the last time I ever lied to myself. I said, okay, apart from that, you've if you want to be a reviewer, you've got to be honest, and that definitely took its toll last year when Nicholas Winding Refn's film Only God Forgives came out, and like I just said, I love Drive. I think Drive is one of the best films I've seen in the past few years. I think it's a fantastic, fantastic film that gives a great homage to both Hollywood stereotypes and European neoclassical film. Now, Only God Forgives came out, and same thing as Alice in Wonderland. It had pretty shoddy reviews, so I said, you know what, I'm going to go through this with an open mind. I couldn't lie to myself. That film was just really disappointing. And as if you've seen my review, you could tell that I was not happy with it. So, I've been honest with myself ever since because there's no point in lying to yourself because you can't falsely enjoy something and devote time to something that you don't truly find yourself moved by or find yourself excited by. You can't do that. So, like I said, I'm glad that Lorde was not actually disappointing, and that you had to pretend that it was a worthwhile experience.
See, if I did not make it to if I came half an hour late to that line, I would have not made it to the front, and I would have had to still wait the 8 hours, and then it would not have been worth it. Because I saw the little kids behind me, and they were getting crushed. I felt sorry for them, but I was not moving for them.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord, again. Okay.
There you go, exactly. But yeah, speaking of kids and what I was saying before, the reason why I was talking about lying to oneself to meet the hype that you were expecting, um, again, I don't want to use the word obsession, but a fascination. It's
a curiosity.
Or that's not a curiosity.
I want to know more or see more. No?
I don't know. A fascination. Here, I'll tell you where
so
I'm going with
you're
this.
going against yourself now. Just call it an obsession.
Nah, a fascination. Fascination, admiration. You can't be fascinated or admired by virtually everybody that you actually like when it comes to entertainment or anything like that. Like, for instance, would I consider myself obsessed with Ryan Gosling? No, but I'm a big fan of his. Now, would I consider myself like a big fanatic of even Natalie Portman? No, but I'm pretty I like a lot of things that she's done. I don't think she's done like everything she's done has been great, but she's always worked hard, and when she hits that note that she's trying to hit, she does it really well. Now, look, because it's the most obvious example, I guess. Would I consider myself a fanatic of Shailene Woodley? I guess so, because I'm very into the kind of person that she is in interviews. I'm very into what she stands for, just what she does, the fact that she makes like her own products. She cooks for pretty much everybody that she stars with. She considers everybody like a family. She takes so many things from like her sets into like her own lifestyle. Like she adopted a lot of Hawaiian traditions from when she worked on The Descendants. So yeah, like I said, I consider myself like a bit of a fan of hers as opposed to just somebody that admires her work. Now, with Lorde, obviously you're a fan. Now, because I remember we had this discussion before. I think I talked about this on Capsule before. If not, when we wanted to do Capsule and interviews, our very first goal was to get Lady Gaga on the show when she was doing like a private show in Toronto, and of course that didn't work. But this spawned because I found myself really liking her newest album, Art Pop, and obviously not everybody did, and I had a lot of flack for it, but that was the point when I remember you were asking me with Lord, you were saying, I didn't expect myself to like a pop musician like this. How do I escape this? Because there was a point where I didn't like stop liking Lady Gaga because I still do, but like everything else, if it's not an album that's completely blown me away, it's gonna come and it's gonna go. Like, was I entertained by it? Yes, absolutely. And you were asking me, how do you break this spell? Do you still believe that there is like a spell when it comes to being like a fan, or do you believe that? Well, I don't know about like a life or a culture, like a lot of people would see it, because I think that's a bit much. But um, like with Lord, for instance, do you want to break apart this fascination that you have with her? Because it clearly is an obsessive.
Well,
Or
when I said I want to break this obsession, yes, it's now broken, but I still like her. I'll still listen to her music. It's just I don't know. I don't know if you listened to another podcast I did on the menu bar where we talked about the psychology of people like myself who have this slight OCD but in a positive ADD way where we have to do many things, but like I had to see her perform live. And
right.
if I didn't, I'd probably my mind would die or something, whatever. So at least that's clear. Like my mind is now at peace. I can do something else now.
But do you see that as obsessive compulsion, or is it like? Well, bucket list is a bit grim because we're in our 20s, but is it like a to-do list that people have for their lives? Like, um, okay, well, I'm obviously very vocal about my love for My Bloody Valentine, and I actually got to see them last year, and I thought they were fantastic. And yeah, they had a few screw-ups, but I thought that actually added to the show. That's not me lying to myself, but um, well, I mean, if a guy on like the loudest concert I've ever heard throws his guitar against the ground out of frustration and it just becomes even louder, then no, I think it works to its advantage. But um, I was dying to see them too, and well, they don't tour nearly as much as Lorde does. In fact, like I think they called touring quits for now, so it's going to be a while before they even come back again. And I forced myself to see them. I was like, okay, I've got to see these guys. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to see them again. And this is like my favorite band. Now, I don't know if I've obsessed. I don't think I've OCD. I've got anxiety issues and all of that, but I don't think it was attributed to that. I think that was just me being a fan of something.
Well,
That
how did you handle your anxiety when you saw Shailene?
that's I don't know because my anxiety doesn't really affect my positive emotions. It's
Oh, okay.
mostly my negative. I don't really get starstruck. In fact, even when I met Shailene, I wasn't even as starstruck as it may seem. I was just caught a bit off guard with how friendly she was and
Oh, yeah.
everything.
So I was gonna say, when you stuck out your hand for the handshake and she went for the hug, was there a slight moment where you're like, "Oh, what the hell are you doing? That's not a hand. Where's your hand? I see two hands coming up."
Um, Actually, it's really bizarre because when I watch it on the film, it just seems so quick. But I remember when I was there, it just seemed like she kind of looked at me where it's like, "What are you doing?" And then she just went for a hug. It was like, "This is what I prefer." And I was like, "Whoa, okay." Um, I wasn't like, "What are you doing?" I thought it was really cool, but obviously I didn't expect it. But I don't know. It seemed a lot more different in person, where it seemed like there was that instance where she kind of looked at me and saying like, "That's I don't shake hands, or are you silly?" kind of thing. Um, and no, I wasn't even really that nervous or anything. Like I think after it even happened, that's when I realized I was like, "Wait, I just did that." The only time I've ever been kind of starstruck, actually, there were two times. When I was younger, and again, I was heavily into metal. My favorite band when I was around 15 or 16, I think, was Lacuna Coil,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is yeah, an Italian
Are they
gothic metal
still
band.
playing? Are they
I
still?
think so. I think so. Now, at that age, I had like the biggest crush on Christina Scavia,
Mm-hmm.
and
Me too.
well, she is fairly attractive. But there was this show. It's again, it was like you and Lord, me with My Bloody Valentine, and this as well. It was like a once in a lifetime opportunity when it came to a concert. They came to Toronto, they played, and then they left. and they had an extra day on their tour that they didn't have devoted to any shows. Not they canceled or anything, but they just discovered, hey, we have an extra day. So they said, okay, let's have a free concert in the Rec Room in Toronto. And usually I would not go to a show if I didn't have anybody to go with. But like I did with my Bloody Valentine, I said, you know what, forget it. I'm going by myself. I've got to go see them. So obviously it was first come, first serve, so not everybody was going to go in. So I did a similar thing that you did. I just went very early and I waited outside. And
How long did you wait?
not nearly as long as you, that's for sure. No, this wasn't too bad. It was like maybe 3-4 hours.
Okay, that's good.
But this was in the dark because this was at like night. This because it was like a midnight concert, I think,
Yeah.
or it was close to midnight. I don't know. Anyway, so I was just waiting outside. The tour bus was there. I didn't even think, oh, the tour bus is there. They'll be coming in and out of it. So we were just waiting in line, this and that. And then I just turned around and she's like 2 feet away from me, and I almost shat myself. I was like, "Oh my god, whoa, that's that person!" And she just kind of went inside after like looking at us, and I said, "Whoa, okay."
You didn't say hi?
Happened. After the show, we actually met. Like I shook her hand and everything.
Nice.
But that was after the show. It was a crazy show, though. Again, despite who was even performing, because the stage itself was like an inch off the floor, so they're pretty much like right in front of you the entire show.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So there was that moment, but because that caught me off guard as well. So that's why I blame that. But the other time that I got any sort of like starstruck nerves, I guess, was last year at the Toronto International Film Festival when I got to talk to Jessica Chastain during a Q&A. And that was unreal because at the time I was thinking, this person's just been nominated for an Oscar. She's had a nomination before. Like I'm, again, like a huge fan of hers and greatly admired her work. And she's answering my question. That's really bizarre. I think if that didn't happen, I would have been 10 times worse at the Divergent premiere, actually, because they were right up close to my face. And of course, they actually like shook my hand or they gave me a hug and they were answering my questions. So I actually kind of knew how to deal with somebody like of that stature entering a question of mine or actually like interacting with me on a professional level as opposed to just, hey, how's it going? Which I've done before. Like I've talked to Michael Shannon before. I've talked to Rachel Bilson before. But yeah, so this was interesting. Like I felt prepared for that. But like during the film festival, no, that like I was in my seat like squirming. I was like, oh my goodness, is this actually
it's
happening?
because you're passionate about it. That's what it is. So yeah,
I guess so.
And so speaking of waiting, we also enduring Mother Nature's wrath. Daniel Boczarski, he helped us cover South by Southwest again this year, and so for the St. Vincent. You saw the St. Vincent post at the NPR Music Showcase?
I did, and I'm very envious.
He waited, I think he said 4 or 5 hours to get in there. Stubbs is a small venue. And then once he got in there, there were photographers and photographers and photographers all piled up on top of each other. But he still pulled it off. And those shots are amazing. She's like a ghost. It's freaky.
Oh, yeah. She's like otherworldly. I like this new look of hers.
It's a new look. She did not look like that before.
No, she didn't. She looked like I hate girl next door because I hate that term. It's overused. She looks like somebody you'd see in your library.
Before.
There we go.
Not anymore.
No, before it's like, oh, there's that girl reading books again in the corner of the library while I'm trying to like play video games or kill some time at university. But now it's like, now she's like a mad professor. It's awesome. I like it.
and he also got to meet, well, not meet, but he was in meters of another icon of yours, Lady Gaga, at the K-pop night out at South by Southwest. And who would have known? But like that article with the K-pop showcase has a ton of views, almost 1,000 now. I didn't know so many people enjoyed that stuff, but okay. I guess if Lady Gaga was there, it must have been good.
Well, there you go. Exactly.
I didn't know she was into K-pop. Do you like K-pop?
She's into everything. I like a little bit of it. I'm very undereducated with it, but like the little stuff that I've like none of it's ever like harmed me or like put me off. Like I've always found it like partially enjoyable.
Yeah. And he got to shoot London Grammar, American authors. Oh, and then he also got to cover which one? I'm looking at it. Rachel Ray's Feedback. CeeLo Green was there. Rachel,
Oh yes.
Rachel Ray, the cook, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so she put on her own showcase. CeeLo Green was there. A lot of bands, Foxborough Hot Tubs, which is Green Day's.
That's great. Yes.
Yeah, so they were actually there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Like those are cool gigs to be at. Like those are rare gigs. And he got into Perez Hilton's One Night in Austin.
Oh, if I talk about Perez Hilton, we'll be here for a while. Just keep going.
Yeah, and then also you did some reviewing this week as well.
I did.
Yes, Going to Hell by the Pretty Reckless.
Yeah, and
tell us about that.
I wasn't sure what to expect putting it on because I'm very, very harsh with rock music now because I find a lot of mainstream rock music to be just very boring or typical, or like I've heard this kind of thing before, especially because that's the kind of stuff that I grew up on. Like it's turned ugly, like the fact that I can't listen to a lot of stuff that I grew up on as a teenager because I just find it boring or just it's like pop version of, well, pop, I guess. That's bad analogy. It's like the shallowest version of pop, but for rock music. And so I didn't know what to expect with this because it is hard rock. It is that kind of genre. So I said, okay, we'll put this on. And have you given it a listen yet? Or
Yes, I have. I like it.
I like it because it's got a specific goal in mind that it wanted to achieve with the cohesiveness of the actual album. Like it doesn't feel like songs were written just to fit a deadline or just to fit a contractual obligation. It feels like each song had an actual purpose. Now, like nothing is going to be ringing in my mind for days, or nothing struck me as like album of the year material, but for what it's worth, it actually is a lot more enjoyable than I expected. It's straight up fun. It's not deep, but it says more than I thought it would say. Like instead of just talking about hell as like an anti-religious kind of statement, it's actually talking about society and its statures on sex and drugs and all of that as a kind of fictitious hell. So, of course, it's been done before, but the fact that it was done here with an uncertainty of if it's being satirical or if it's being serious, I like that. I like the fact that it wasn't just either or. And yeah, it has like a lot of like nice passive moments as well that weren't just thrown in there, but like some feedback will lead into the next song. And it feels like everything was planned for a specific reason. I like that.
And you gave it a rating better than I expected. You gave it a 7.4 out of 10. And I guess you also really liked the cover art.
Yes, and I'm disappointed that you didn't show the full things.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know if you could, but
No, that's just the one that fits in the featured image thing the best. That's my excuse.
Right. Okay.
But I'm guessing you like the full thing.
It's pretty nice.
I wonder if that's definitely not a real tattoo, right? That's just painted on.
No, that's the symbol that she's been toting for this album's era, I guess. She's been wearing shirts with it. She's been painting it on her front side. She seems pretty risky with the kind of stuff that she's doing. Like again, it's been done before, but still.
Go viral marketing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she's really young. She's only 20 now, and
I really want to get Taylor Momsen on the show.
Yes, and we've been trying.
We've been trying.
And very close.
It's very close. It's just things didn't work out, but hopefully they do soon.
Yeah, she got sick, so that kind of.
And now she's in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, but we have a good chance. So hopefully, because she seems like she'd be
nice
interesting.
She looks badass and like really mean, but she's actually probably really nice.
Yeah, and I mean, for somebody who's. This is the thing I liked about the album a lot. When somebody goes from acting to another gig or vice versa, you could definitely tell that it kind of just happens for, just out of interest as opposed to an actual passion. And I don't want to name any names to deter more people from listening to me, but, that's why I was worried with this album. But then I listened to it and I said, if I didn't know who did this, I wouldn't have actually thought it'd be an actor who became a musician. And I want to ask her, like, is the acting thing basically done? Is this like her sole focus now? Because it doesn't even feel like it's a side project anymore. This feels like this is what she is.
Yeah.
And she was an actor once. So,
Yeah, that would be a good question, actually.
yeah. So if you're listening, which I don't know why you would be, but if you are, yes, I've got these questions that I need to ask.
We've also added a whole bunch of new countries to our listener list. So we have like
Yes,
we got India,
oh, nice.
Iran, Denmark. We finally got one from China.
We've got like 7 billion people more.
Belize is a good one. That's cool. Russia. I think I mentioned Russia before. Let's see what else. Poland's cool. Yeah, those are
Wow.
some new countries.
I actually don't know any connections to any of these. Possibly Iran, because one of my friends is with an Iranian girl, and possibly
She flew back there and listened to it.
I don't think that happened, but maybe
Oh.
maybe somebody she knows somehow tuned in. But apart from that, I can't think of a single connection. Well, maybe China. I don't know, but I don't know any of my Asian friends who have gone back to China or anything, so I don't know.
Just to listen to it.
Another review I did is Winter's Tale. It's a lovely film. I think everybody should see it, and I think they'd highly enjoy it. It's one of the worst films I've seen in a very long time, if not ever. And I
why did you watch this again? Okay,
Well,
wait. You gave it not a 1 out of 10. You gave it
below that pretty much, like
What
a
was it?
0 point.
0.8.
I believe so, yes, or 0.7.
And so why did you watch that again?
A friend of mine decided, actually Olivia, well, we know who she is now.
Oh, she
Olivia,
made you do it?
she didn't make me, but we both thought it'd be a film that was so bad it'd actually be funny because we heard reviews on it, and there's this website she goes to. Actually, here's promotion to hopefully bring more viewers to us as they will to you. A website called filmschoolrejects.com, where it's, I guess, film students or former film students. I don't know entirely, but they do reviews, and it was the first time they ever gave an uncertain final result for a film because they didn't actually know what to give it, either a 0 or a 10, because they didn't know if they enjoyed it so much that it was like magnificent or if it was like one of the worst things they've ever seen. So they just gave it a question mark as opposed to an actual legitimate rating. And we got curious. We said, okay, we have to check this out. This sounds batshit insane. We've got to see this. And I saw it. It's not only as screwed up as I thought it would be, it's 10 times more, and it's 10 times worse than I thought it would be. It's, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to begin with this film. If you didn't read my review, basically you'll see everything in this film, ranging from a flying horse to Colin Farrell playing a 20-year-old that lives for over 100 years and doesn't change his age. Will Smith as the devil playing with a light bulb and sitting in the darkness just speaking with like a really deep voice. People freezing after they being killed. Russell Crowe with an Irish accent playing with marbles to create light sculptures. I don't even know half the shit that happens in this film. You can't even, if you try to explain it, it won't make sense. If you see it, it still won't make a lot of sense. It's just unreal. It's even worse than The Wicker Man. It's even worse than a lot of films of that nature where they're just ridiculous. Like, this is beyond ridiculous. This is how the hell did they come up with this stuff? I don't even
It
know.
must have been high. But yeah, you can check out Andreas' review in the show notes.
Yeah, and you should actually give the film a watch, despite it being one of the worst things I've seen in so long, because it's actually mind-boggling. And it came from a book which was critically acclaimed as well, which I believe is also called Winter's Tale. And acclaimed writer Neil Gaiman actually is trying to defend this film.
Wait, Neil Gaiman wrote it?
No, he didn't write it, but he's trying to defend it.
Because he does stuff for Doctor Who too, and he's great.
No, Neil Gaiman's fantastic, which is why I'm a bit perplexed. I kind of see why, because he feels that if you don't like the film, then you're kind of not allowing yourself to believe in its magic, which I kind of get, but at the same time, it's just such a poorly made film that there's no allowance of that. I mean, if they have, like in my review, I said there was a part where, first of all, it's the horse flying as a spirit creature. I think it's absolute bullshit the fact that it's not even like a winged animal. It's not like a bird or an eagle or even like a pterodactyl. It had to be a horse with wings. That doesn't make sense. Anyways, so the flying horse brings the main character to maybe like 100-foot walk from the location he's supposed to be at. If he was brought to exactly to the location he was supposed to be at, it would be fine. He could do what he had to do. And I don't want to say too much to give away anything, but he could do what he had to do and he'd be safe. But he's brought 100 feet back, and the person he's riding with, played by Jennifer Connelly, says, "Oh, we're really far. Are we gonna get caught by the people chasing us?" And he's like, "Oh, not to worry." And literally, like 2 seconds later, they're right behind them. And I said, "Oh, whoops, I'm not always right," or something to that nature. It's just so stupid. And you've got to see this. Like, this is what Pretty Reckless Going to Hell wasn't. Fun, but ridiculously stupid. Like, it was actually fun.
It went the wrong way.
It was fun in the way it was supposed to be. Winter's Tale's fun in every single way that it's trying not to be. Well, it's just wrong. It's fun for all the wrong reasons. So
yeah, definitely check that out and tell us what you think in the comments.
Yes.
So, also, congratulations. This is our 20th episode of Capsule.
Oh, yes, congratulations to you too then.
Yeah, so so this is the third month that we're doing this. We started January 2014, and we have 20 episodes like in this one. And we've been so fortunate enough to have a great conversation between us, our friends, and many new friends in the form of musicians. We recently had DJ Cassidy.
Yes.
And he's huge. Like, he works with Robin Thicke and Earth, Wind and Fire and Jesse J. And he was on last week. So that's pretty cool.
And it was while I was working, and but what can you do?
That's fine. He's very, for someone that's so successful, that's played in the White House for President Obama and performed at the wedding of Jay-Z and Beyonce, he's very down to earth and humble, that's what makes him awesome. And we've been able to talk to people like USS.
Oh, yes.
Favorites and heroes, Canadian heroes of ours. So many others. So we're just really fortunate that people listen.
Yes. Thank you for everybody from Canada to Australia to Belize.
It's still pretty much all the continents except for Antarctica.
Well, I don't think we're going to get them anytime soon.
I'm going to go on a trip there and then just listen to one then so we can get that ping. That's all we need.
We could be the first podcast to actually be listened to
in all 7 continents.
By an Antarctican, I guess.
Yeah, so congrats on this 20th episode. And
absolutely.
Let's keep doing this.
Yep, and the 20th episode was you frolicking in your happiness with seeing Lorde. So there you go. I think it's meant to be.
Where can our listeners find you?
They can find me at Andreas Babs, especially if you're Shailene Woodley, because that'd be cool.
That's on Twitter. Yeah. And you can find myself on Twitter as well at Sean Chin. Follow the show at Live in Limbo and use the hashtag Capsule Podcast to join in on the conversation. Please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. That's the best way to do this. Of course, you can find all the show notes at liveinlimbo.com/capsule. Take care.
Yes, thank you for listening to our obsessions, our fanaticisms, if that's a word, and pretty much what makes pop culture run, our admirations.